Welcome to the Hummel Studio and the Football Show here on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, delighted that Alan Ruff, Gordon Parks and Tam McManus here with me in the studio. We're sponsored by CameronCommercials.com. If you're looking for a quality new or used van, then Sean is your man. All you have to do is go to CameronCommercials.com and he'll get you that van that you need for your business. And over and above that, delighted that you're all here. Obviously the weather makes people, bright, sunny, looking to be in a good mood, but unfortunately one of us is not in a good mood, Ruffy, because Tam's had a rough week.
Dragging the whole thing down.
He's not at his best, whereas people tune into the show looking for that radiance that he provides.
You're getting a spark off me today. It's a bad day for the bad day.
Absolutely nothing.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Jeez.
You better watch you don't end up signing for Rangers with that attitude.
Well, aye, if you're not giving us anything, you could end up at open goal. So Ruffy will keep us going because obviously for 15 seasons that's the consistency for you. The housewife's favourite. And somebody last week absolutely leathered your man here because they said, who is he? Who's he played for? And who does he think he is, talking about how footballers think inside the dressing room? They were slaughtering you. And then I thought to myself, okay, I'll defend him. And then, lo and behold, you're sitting on the gantry at Ibrox last night. And I looked this morning and you're all over the internet because they're battering you for your hairstyle. Are you still going to go with the drawn curtains? You going for that look?
Hair envy. Do you know what? And I can picture the Hammer. Is it the Hammer that's on it to me again? Sitting behind his keyboard with his baldy head.
Yeah, somebody's battering you anyway on it. It was absolutely unbelievable.
You go over the hair, Tim.
It was funny. Listen, when your boys mention it to you, you know you're in trouble, don't you? Listen, I've got lots to talk about. Rangers crashing out of Europe. Obviously, we're going to speak to Gordon. He was there last night. The manager admits that Rangers just aren't at Europa League level. Give us your thoughts on that. Motherwell fly the flag with distinction. I was there at Fair Park. They were absolutely magnificent. Elsewhere, Hibs, I thought, got a creditable draw in North Macedonia. I thought they might struggle, but great play there in defending their 2-1 lead. And in the end, 0-0 gets them a really good tie against Ghent. Over and above that, Engels on his way to West Ham for 22 million. You see how these figures change depending on which fanzine you read. He's off for 22 million. There might be add-ons along the way. Alistair Johnston, according to Martin O'Neill today, looks as if his injury might keep him at Celtic, but checking in at the champions this week, Hassim Hassan and also Mika Bauer coming in to join Kasper Hoek and Camilo Duran. So 4 big signings now in at Celtic, and will there be more heading out the door before that transfer window closes, and will there be more coming in? Give us your thoughts on that. Give us your thoughts on Rangers too, because quite simply Kuhi Drieck is not coming to Rangers. Rangers say he failed a medical, while in the Netherlands they say they couldn't reach an agreement. So there's a different slant on that deal that collapsed at the 11th hour. We'll look towards the European draw and who the teams are playing this week. We'll also look at the cup matches over the weekend, and we want you to give us your thoughts on it all. We're going to start with you, Gordon, because quite simply, watched your report. You said ahead of the game Rangers players had to respond to their manager. Give us an overview.
I think if Derek McInnes was told before the game that our captain, Shankland, would score, open his account for the club, they started well. The first half was fine. Get himself ahead. Shankland obviously lifts the place, pumped his chest to the fans at the Copeland, and I have to say that everything's set up then for Rangers to go then and dominate, which were the Poles looked desperate at that stage, looking for something. Tam, you know what it's like playing against Rangers when they've got the whole thing lifts. They were screaming out for an out ball. They had a right winger that just kept himself long and wide, and gradually played himself back into the game. The Rangers were fine in the first half, but the Poles showed they had a threat. Tactically they were set up great, but they were bang average, and Rangers allowed them by taking their foot off the gas. They came out in the second half, tactically switched it, brought Ross McCrorie on and played him at left back.
Left back?
Left back. And the whole disjointed element of an already disjointed team that I believe lacks balance already. Ashgard came off. They lost the control in the middle of the park that they had, and the whole thing collapsed. But it was more than that. Rangers players playing in their comfort zone. refusing to go that extra yard, refusing to sweat for the jersey, to be honest. And I'm just watching objectively, and I don't see relationships in the park. They're quiet, there's no accountability. That game, I mean, it's 41,000 people at Ibrox last night, and there was no urgency. Nobody prepared to go and grab the game in the scruff of the net, show a bit of authority. This is a team going through the motions, and a manager that's standing there helpless. And I have to say, they need players in badly. 5 new faces started last night. Yokata looked apart for 20 minutes, fell down a hole, looked exhausted. I just think they have such poor balance. They've got individuals that look as if they could be better, and will be better, I'm sure. But where's that player in the middle of the park that's going to go and slice open, who's going to be inventive, who's going to do something in the half-turn? It's far too safe. It's far too comfortable. And I think it continues for last season. Who's prepared to go and sweat the bucket? Nobody.
Well, that's all we've got time for. Hopefully you enjoyed the show.
An in-depth review from Gordon there.
That's the longest answer ever, Ruffy. I mean...
There was 4 substitutions in the 68th, the 71st, the 79th and the 81st minute.
I was waiting for it.
I don't really care, right? I don't really care. People thinking this guy is a downer in Rangers, a downer in Celtic. I have a downer on neither, right? I sat there and slumped back as I watched. There was 10 minutes in that second half, arguably the worst I've ever seen watching Rangers. And I know you go back to the 80s, I wasn't there watching them then.
Yeah.
It's a lack of commitment.
You're not guilty of a wee bit of what I call tabloid hyperbole?
No.
No?
No, because I sat next to someone and said, that is arguably the worst 10 minutes I've ever seen. And then 5 minutes later I went, make that 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Did you get a definitive of why Ashgard was taken off?
It was taken off because they wanted to push Gassama further left. He was
a tactical move.
Listen, I watched Gassama play. He played down the flank that we were watching closest to in the first half. He's not prepared to do the hard yards. He only wants to play when the ball's played safe to him. He's not got enough. He had one decent run where he delivered, and that's it.
Has he got a trick? No.
Do you know what? He's got pace if he wants to open his legs up and do it. But again, he's playing within his comfort zone. I think that too many of these players at Rangers want to get off that pitch with the least amount of stick possible. They look as if they're shackled with fear. And it was, again, having been to most of the games towards the end of last season, it's that culture around the team. Nobody's prepared to come on and really be the man. And it's that lack of character that condemns a Derek McInnes who's got everything about him to go and make that team better. He looks increasingly haunted. Where are the positives? The positives are there are only 4 games in. There's a way to change it.
Thanks for saying that, because I think that's the legitimate point here, Tam. OK, it's not great. He deserves criticism because they haven't got a win. But for God's sake, let's put things in perspective here. You know, there are many managers who have started off and it hasn't gone according to plan. And again, I'm wary of that because obviously the Wilfred Nancy situation of last season. But does he just need time to try and get not only players in, but get the plan in his head of what he has to do? Or, you know, should there be alarm bells going off?
I think there's alarm bells going off. I don't think if you're a manager of Celtic and Rangers, you're getting time. You know, we're sitting here, if Derek McInnes was French or was from somewhere else, we would be saying the same thing. Wilfred Nancy was hounded out of Celtic after many games, 7, 8 games. Many would Russell Martin get?
September.
Derek McInnes needs to start winning games and needs to start winning them quick, or he's not going to be the manager of Rangers. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. I don't care. He's going to get another 4 or 5 games to win a game.
Yeah,
if he doesn't win in 7 or 8, he's out.
Peter,
He's out the door.
I mean, there is a tabloid element to everything because it's Scottish football. Everything, as Derek McInnes says, defeats bring a polarisation in the club, and everything's highlighted negatively. But the stats you've just said there, it harms. I think a lot of the Rangers fans have had enough, and I think.
No.
Listen.
What sensible Rangers fans?
Well,
I'm not talking about fanzines who you see somebody screaming at the screen and then turning around to his mate.
I'm sorry, but there is a reality within Scottish football that's become an obscene reality where fans just have so small tolerance, so little patience, that they're disgusted quickly.
Well, can I tell you something though? And I'm going to invoke a catchphrase again and a phone call that I had and a press conference that Gordon Strachan had. But basically he said to you, I think I was at Radio Clyde at the time, he said, wait a minute, you know, if 2 people call in and say Strachan's an idiot and he doesn't know what he's doing, is he speaking for everybody? Is he the majority? Are the idiots the majority here? Or can you look at something in the bigger context of a man who's just come in to do his job and try and get a trick out of a team that hasn't won a title since COVID? And even then, if you look back at their history now, there are people born who are 22, 23, maybe heading to 30, who think Celtic have dominated this league forever.
Can I just chip in here? This Rangers team's worse than Russell Martin's team and Danny Rowell's team.
At the moment.
At the moment.
At the moment.
They're worse.
But I think it's too early to be talking about getting rid of him and all that. You know, I can see the boos and I can see why owners...
I had the breath of the boos in my back of my neck.
Yeah, but that's
what... It wasn't a minority.
But that's when the owners have to be strong enough to buy into what he's saying. The things against him are obviously he's no winning games. He has brought 9 players in, and argumentable how many of them are going to be really, really good players. I think you've touched it on the head. He hasn't identified a player, a leader on the park, somebody like you always say, somebody can put his foot in the ball, have a look up and start spraying passes in. He hasn't got that kind of player.
No, there's no number.
He has got nothing in the middle of it. They're all doing their own wee bit. And last night, they've fallen into the same carry-on as happened over the last 2 or 3 seasons. When they're winning, they're good. Give me the ball. You know, I'll take it. I'll do this. Blah, blah. When that goal goes in, it's 1 each. It's then, you know, no character, no leader, nobody on the park to say, right, OK, we've just lost a goal. Let's chase it and get another one. There was nothing.
Yeah.
There was one header in the last 25 minutes.
There are 2 elements that are going against him here, and I think he needs time. And I think what you need to do, and I think what we all have a responsibility at times to do, and I'm not knocking anybody who says, you know, and Tam's perfectly entitled to turn around and say 5 games, if he doesn't win a game in 5, then, you know, people are calling his head or he'll be sacked. Right? I've no problem with that. But I think there needs to be a situation where we don't need to listen to what I call the stupid noise from dafties with a Rangers strip on, looking at the camera and going, get him out. You know, those people speak for a small minority. The bigger picture here is he's come in, he's got to build a squad, but the biggest problem he has in building the squad, he's got to get them winning, as Tam said. But the other problem he has, and this is the biggest problem of all, they're trying to stop a juggernaut, which is Celtic. And even Celtic, with their 16 players out and 4 in, are still way, way better than Rangers. Even if 2 of Celtic's...
The gap's as big as it's been in a while, by the way.
Even if 2 of Celtic's signings don't work, Tam, they're still way better than Rangers.
I think the gap is as big as it's been. When I look at the 2 squads at the minute.
Lawrence Shankland, watched him at Hearts all last season. I've watched him. He's a technically good player. His touch is sound. He knows where he got into decent areas. He's a technical player. He's back again, trying to get the ball, but his touch was off last night. Tam, do you know what it's like when you're getting the hordes on your back? Taking a touch, far more difficult challenge, because you know if you make a mistake, you're getting howled at. Makes a mistake at Hearts, it's disguised. They don't really.
I think there's a huge gap between Hearts, Hibs, and then going to Celtic.
Coping with that.
I said to Peter last week, I think the biggest mistake was making him the captain. You've got a new player going in. We've got a right good player at Hearts. He's going to a bigger club. You know, a club that you need to start scoring goals right away. Pressure's on you right away, and then all of a sudden you lump him with the captaincy. You give him a wee bit added pressure. We don't know. I don't know what like he is internally, but you're giving him something that he probably didn't want. You know, because I am now the captain at Rangers Football Club, and everybody remembers the captains. You know, and it's just. I want to come in and score goals, and when he's not scoring goals, that's an added pressure. And now the added pressure of being the captain and having to deal with it, I think it's too much for him. I don't
think there was a better option for a captaincy. Who would you think should have been the captain of Rangers?
Well, they're all new players.
That's what I'm saying. So you're looking at him as the most experienced one?
Yeah, I know, but I mean, why no wait then? Why no...
You can't wait. You can't wait. You need to name a
captain.
captain.
The captain doesn't do it mean anything, so just...
The captain doesn't mean anything at Rangers at the moment.
But you have to have one at the start of the season.
Hang on,
You need to find one, though.
If I was a Rangers fan last night and I listened to Dan Neil's after-match press conference and he's talking about, listen, there's really, we together as a dressing room, we united, the chemistry's good and all that. Sound bites, go and show it. Demonstrate that chemistry, that unity, that cohesion, that togetherness. I don't see it. And that's the alarm bells, right? That's why Derek's not going to get time. He has to start winning games. They lose against St Mirren on Sunday.
He's severe
I
pressure.
agree with you. It's not my opinion. Should Rangers stick with Derek McInnes all day long? But this is a reality in Scottish football. And Tam's giving you stats about managers that go quickly. It's just the nature of the game now.
I listen. I'm quite at ease with somebody sitting on this, couch, and we go out and we speak to pundits and we speak to journalists and people, fans who watch the game. I'm quite at ease with somebody saying he needs to win games. What I have to put a kind of a sense of perspective in my own mind is he's 4 games in. He needs to find himself. He's got problems. I've no doubt about that. He's got to find himself a captain. I'm not so sure it's Lawrence Shankland, but I think his biggest worry is he's got to find some creative players to give Shankland service. Forget about the captain's armband. Listen, I saw some people on social media saying bring back James Tavernier, and I'm thinking, you slaughtered him. You absolutely slaughtered that boy. He's scored over 140 goals for Rangers. Not good enough. What level do they think they're operating at? I'm listening to some people in other podcasts talking about, they inquired about Lewis Ferguson. There wasn't a catch chance in hell they were getting Lewis Ferguson. He's 20 million plus. They're not spending that. We're looking at a situation here where suddenly Derek had Drioch in the deal, the winger's coming in, and now suddenly he's got a slight tear on his, one of his legs, and he's not coming in. Now, I wonder if the difference between maybe 15 and 20 million for the Europa League and 5 million for the Conference League has a major impact on that budget.
Clearly. Absolutely.
Definitely. I mean, when Alec Ray was on the other day, he's identified it right. One of the biggest problems is Raskin. Raskin, for everybody talks about him, he's this, he's that, he's a Belgium international player. He does nothing to influence the game.
No.
There's no consistency of the level that he should be at. So he would be the first
12 million for him. They're talking about 10 or 12 million for Raskin.
I would still.
I think
double it. They're asking for double that.
Yeah.
Right? That's the truth. And you only comment on what you see.
Yeah. By the way, the worst thing about it all, and I'm talking about as an overview for Scottish football, is quite simply, Rangers are now at the Europa Conference level. But last night, when I heard the line from Derek McInnes, we should be looking at Europa League and Champions League, but we're actually not at that level. I was aghast. I'm thinking, my God, Derek, there's time for the truth, but it's not right now, because that is not a line I would have used.
Especially against a team that got assembled for £5 million.
I didn't think they were a great side.
No,
they weren't a great side.
You've got to look at it and say, they're throwing spaghetti against the wall.
The team they're going to come up against is better than that team.
Yes, and if they're recruiting players that are not better than the ones that they had, Tam's point could be absolutely valid, and we could be.
I'm the same with Parksy. I think managers should get time, but at Celtic and Rangers, you've seen it recently. Russell Martin, Wilfred Nonsi.
I think
8-9 games, you're out the door if you don't win.
I think in Nonsi, he's trying to do the tactical bit, this brainwave, the new wave of how they were going to play football. That went against him as well, because nobody bought into it, whatever he was trying to do, and obviously the results went against him. I do think...
He made too radical a change, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Derek's not done that. I think he's just not found... if it's 4-4-2 or 3-5-2 or whatever, I don't think he knows the players that he's brought in. I don't know why, who identifies the players who come in, what the best formation is. And you could see that last night.
He's really friendly with the chief exec. The chief exec knows the score. There's no reaction. There's not going to be any panic there. That's the one thing that he knows.
Yeah.
But when he starts to wear the haunted look that he wore last night, it's hard to disguise it.
Well, the other thing about it is I think there's a greater feeling if you've been a Rangers supporter, a Rangers player. You've gone through this whole journey and then you're back there with a fanfare and it's now quickly turning into a nightmare. That's when you actually start to really feel it. And I can, you say the haunted look. I say he goes into a darkened room and beats himself up and thinks, what he can't do, Tam, is he can't suddenly come out and take the baseball bat to some of them, because they'll down tools. There's no players in there of the old guard who say we're going to roll up our sleeves. There's no John Bomber Brown. There's 5 or 6 foreign players who are giving it, beat it, I'm downing tools here. He can't pull out the baseball bat.
That's the problem I've got at the minute. I'm looking at that Rangers team and I'm not seeing many leaders in that team at all. I'm not seeing somebody gets a grip of the game. A Barry Ferguson type, a Bomber Brown, a Goff. somebody that leads by example. I don't see that in that Rangers, and that'd be very worrying if I was a Rangers supporter, or Derek McInnes at the minute. Your captain's miles off the pace. Lawrence Shankland's miles off the pace. I thought he'd be a great signing for Rangers. He looks as if the jersey's too heavy for him at the minute. Cammy Devlin's came in. He's not a Rangers player.
Cam, they're playing in silence.
Well,
who at the back fours are audibly shouting or demanding this and that? I certainly don't see it in the middle of the park. Dan Neil showed a couple of moments where he went and he showed a bit of dig. But they're the quietest team in the world, and that. See, when you see a quiet team, you see a losing team.
Rangers Jablonec, Ruffy.
Well, the pressure's on, isn't it? I mean, I don't know what the manager will be saying to the players. You know that he'll have to get all these things that Partsy's saying. He get them to realise where they are and where they are now. So where they've been, they might have came in with a 3 million or a 4 million tag, but they're now. I mean, I would think the majority of the teams have came for, they were never playing in front of 50, 60,000. You know, so that's something that that's the people themselves. You know, can they deal? Any player can deal when you're winning, but it's the ones when you're not winning, and you can tell them right away. You can tell the ones in the dressing room who are going to dig in and for the club and all that. But I think when you bring in so many players initially into the team, I'm not saying you're looking after yourself, but you're wanting to play well, you know, and you want everybody to say, "Oh, he's been a good signing."
By the way, Ruffy, realistically, and I think this is the other thing we've all, and I'm quite happy for people to have a dig at me at times, and I think we're all happy to at least give an opinion. But when I have to sit and listen to some pundits and some people bleating on about Rangers are going to win the league at the start of the season, when we don't even know who's signing, Tam. You don't even know who's signing for a club. You don't even know there are so many imponderables in there that you actually have to wait and say, okay, go and watch them play, and then over and above that, have a look at the signings and see how they're bedding in, see if there's a style, see if there's a formation, see if, as you said, Tam, see if there's a leader. But you've got flag wavers. You've got flag wavers giving it Rangers are going to win the league and things like that. I don't even know.
And then change their mind 2 weeks later.
I know, but could you honestly say right now, unless something... I mean, what has to happen for somebody to physically come out in front of a camera or on a microphone and say Rangers are going to win the league at the end of August?
I don't think anybody could at this moment in time. You know, obviously the
5 points. Are they
Five
points behind, Ruffy?
Yeah, I know. I mean, obviously he's lost a couple of good players. The boy Godfrey and the striker. Well, we didn't know if he was going to go to Turkey or no, but I think we'll have to wait and see. We said that with Celtic as well. Let's wait with Celtic, you know, but it's turned a wee bit now with the players that Celtic are bringing in. You know, I think Celtic supporters would be confident enough to say, well, the state they're in, we're going to win the league. You know, but let's see what happens by the time we get to August and see where we are, because at this moment in time, Celtic are way ahead.
Yeah. Listen, I had a look at them at Kilmarnock, by the way, Parsley, and that's just with 2 strikers. Remember, they're still... I mean, they've offloaded 16 players, and I would say, I'm only going to counter this, and I don't want to get battered for it right away, but I'm only going to counter it by saying they've offloaded 16 players, they've brought 4 in, they've spent diddly squat, they've spent no money, which is great. I mean, if you're a board, I applaud you, great, that's fine, they'll look great. They played some really good football, albeit Kilmarnock played right into their hands. But the 2 up front look really good. They've got this boy Hassan. They've got Bauer. Engels is out the door. I think all of us last season, to get 22 million for Engels, I think is brilliant.
Business.
It's great business, because I still to this day can't work out what he did as a midfielder. I'm being really harsh on the boy. You know, I know he's got qualities, but...
a justified statement to make. You're talking about valuations just being ridiculous. Looks as if he could be a great player. Athletic, technically very good, dead ball, decent, but not enough. Maybe he'll go to England and thrive, but Tam, did you see her?
That's typical of Celtic, but they get players in, and if they do really well, they sell them for 3-4 times what they paid. If they do average, they double the money.
Yeah.
11 million he paid for Engels.
Yeah.
They're getting 22 for him, and he's not let the touch paper, is he?
I don't think any Celtic fans looking and going,
no.
Oh, this is a disaster. They've lost Engels. No. You know, I think they're actually looking and going, well done to the board.
They're going signing a couple of midfield players now.
Apathy to his departure. But you see personality and you see character in the Celtic team. You see a striker that's come in, scores a hat-trick, looks hungry, looks larger than life, wants to be there, looks as if he's comfortable there. You flip the coin.
Yeah,
you see the opposite.
The other aspect of this, Ruffy, as well, is quite simply that Celtic have got a game against Lask and a chance to, I mean, this takes it off the radar, Tam, a chance to actually get to the Champions League group stage, bank another 40 million. Last year's accounts haven't been released. They've sold 16 players. The player sales alone, the season ticket money, the merchandise. This club is on a juggernaut that I don't know how Rangers stop them.
Yeah, and I'm sure anybody that's at Rangers will be saying the same thing, you know, that but they'll be hoping they can get 3 or 4 players in. I mean, I don't know what kind of quality they're going to bring in, but they certainly need, as we've discussed, you know, a playmaker, somebody who knows how to win games, how to turn games, losses into wins. But at the moment, yes, Celtic have got everything in their favour, but they still have to win that game because the Celtic supporters want Champions League. They don't want anything else. So the pressure is still not on to win that game, you know, but it's certainly looking a lot better now than what it was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian says, Peter, what have you taken? No doom and gloom about Celtic today. Brian, we are absolutely delighted that you're still with us, throwing grenades. We're only calling it as we see it as each week unfolds, you know. And as I mentioned to one journalist yesterday, they've brought 4 signings and the other 2, everybody will wait and judge them and see if they fit into the system and if they hit the ground running. The 2 boys that they've got, Tam, they look as if they've been playing for Celtic for 2 or 3 years. The boy Duran cutting in. I mean, he could play a 4-4-2. He can play a 3-5-2. He can play a 4-3-1-2 with these 2 guys. Their movement is unbelievable. Their skill factor for Duran is good. And if the Hassan and Bauer guy suddenly change the dynamics of them again, you know.
I think the Celtic fans have been crying out for this for 3, 4, 5 seasons, to go and get proven players in, experienced players, 24, 25-year-olds, not going and getting 19, 20-year-olds for a couple of million and hoping that you get a diamond that you can polish and sell in for 20. So they 2 guys played at the highest level last season for the clubs. They played in the Champions League, scored goals in the Champions League, great signings. Hassan had a great World Cup. His record at Real Oviedo wasn't great, but he was playing for a team at the bottom of the league. Yeah. And if you're a wide player and you're playing at a team at the bottom of the league, you're going to be sitting in, you're not going to have a lot of the ball every week. It's different at Celtic. So I would think that he'd be an upgrade on the likes of Yang as well.
Can I ask you this, Tam? Do you remember what the Celtic fans' gripe was?
About the money? About signings?
Over and above the signings, but they were really unhappy about the timing of signings.
Yeah, they're getting them done earlier.
But apart from that, forget that part of it. They were unhappy about the signings, they were unhappy about projects, and their main gripe was something. Do you remember what it was?
No.
The main gripe was that they wanted to be more competitive in Europe, Gordon.
Yeah.
That's what they wanted. That judgment day is fast approaching. But on the evidence so far, Martin is looking and saying to himself, 4 in, can I get the quality rather than the quantity that I'm asking for? And you look at it, you say, well, 4 of them are a good indicator. Now he has to deliver what the Celtic fans originally became hacked off about, which is a complete lack of ambition over a 20-year period because of that board and their antics. But now, and I don't want to kind of take any of the heat off Rangers and put it on Celtic. Celtic look as if they are the real deal.
See, if you isolate Celtic as a unique team in Scottish football this season without comparing to anything else, Tim made a great point last week. If you look at the starting 11 for Celtic last week at Kilmarnock, there's a bit of awe there.
It's strong, you've seen in a while.
Yeah.
So you're bringing in Bauer. If you played for Germany's under-21 team, you've got pedigree, you're a good player. You don't get to that level unless you've got real qualities. They will, I think, develop a kind of weekly system, a weekly kind of starting line-up. Everybody will get together. I can see momentum building, and I can see, again, isolating them, I can see something better in Europe because they haven't just thrown mud at the wall. They've gone and identified and spent time recruiting, and they're bringing in pedigree and they're bringing in proven.
Yeah, David says, Peter, who said Rangers were going to win the league? Name the pundits now or shut up.
There's loads.
David, there's loads. I think if you look back over the last...
Halliday was one.
Yeah. Chris Boyd?
Chris Boyd.
Yeah. Need we go on? Will we go through the whole 20 years of them? But quite simply, I've no problem with people, you know, having a view. Don't have it at the start of August when you don't even know how the team's going. Don't have it when you don't know who they're signing. Don't have it when you don't know if the manager's actually got it the way he's going. I think Rangers will improve. I think there's evidence to suggest Hearts will improve. But the ultimate thing, and I'm not going to beat about the bush with you on this, Ruffy, Scottish football is an embarrassment. I told you last year, I said to you the last 10 years and 15 years of this programme, we've been doing it. I've been like a broken record. We need to work out how to play European football. And whether it's an SFA summit to try and say to them, can you get more quality Scottish players in? But we need to work out a way, because when it got to 1970 to 73, Dutch football dominated Europe. Then the Germans took over from 73 to 76. And then in 1977 onwards, English football started to understand how to play European football and how to dominate. And for about a 5 or 6 year period, English football dominated Europe. You couldn't get anybody left in the European Cup unless they were an English team. And then they get barred from Europe and they suffered a relapse, and then the giants started to come through again. I just wonder how we reverse the trend. We're talking about clubs going into the Diddy League. The Europa Conference League is a Diddy Cup. It doesn't matter what way you look at it, but it's going to give them £5 million, but the results have been woeful before I get to Motherwell.
Yeah, but I think in the English side and the other teams, you're talking the quality they're bringing in is far better than what we are. I mean, we're bringing in players at 3 million, 4 million, 5 million. There's teams down south are bringing in people at 100 million, 90 million, 80 million.
It's a great point you make.
You know that they're getting much, much better players than us. I mean, we were at the Everton game and you could see the difference in their football, you know, the physique of them, the pace they play at, you know. Yeah. It's not magnificent because it was just a friendly sort of a thing, but you can identify what they're trying to do. I just think we don't have the crop of players playing in our league individually, but I would say collectively you've got to have some kind of system, and Motherwell have got that system that they're playing that the others don't. I mean, Celtic, we've already talked about Celtic are midfield to front, you know, and the pace they play at, they know exactly what they're doing. Midfield's getting the ball, they're all linking up, they're all movement's great. We've already discussed, we don't see that at Rangers. I don't see that any other teams apart from Motherwell probably. I mean, Hearts are still building as well, Hibs are still in and out, so Motherwell are the team that are getting the success.
Yeah, okay. We'll talk more about this. All I want to say to you right now, if you're a mum or a dad out there and you want to get involved in our Hummel competition, Hummel is sponsors of our studio this season, delighted to have them on board. And if you would like to win the full kit, here's how you can do it.
Hummel. Let's play.
How would you like to win a full Hummel team kit for your boys or girls team? Well, you can in our fabulous competition, and it's absolutely free to enter. PLZ Soccer and Hummel have teamed up together to give you the chance to win the full kit. And here's how easy it is to enter. Entry is completely free. Simply click the link below and enter using one verified email address. One lucky team will win a full Hummel kit for 16 players, including shirts, shorts and socks. Terms and conditions apply, so don't miss out. Enter today. It's such a great competition, a chance to get the full squad kit there, get involved in it, and if you go onto our website and download the app as well, you'll be able to find out how you can register. It's absolutely free. We're going to talk about Predictor as well coming up. How have you been faring? We are sending out prizes galore to people who are involved in it, not necessarily the top, although if you have had a great run, as Ruffy apparently had last week.
That was an improvement.
Yeah.
He's been bumming about it for the last hour.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about that shortly. Listen, it would be remiss of me not to mention the fact that over and above that, we talked about Rangers, we talked about the need for them to get signings in, and we talked about Celtic and the signings they've got, and they're on the hunt for more. But we know that Hatate will undoubtedly be heading out. Probably, they say Johnny Kenny's staying. We'll wait and see. But over and above that, Alistair Johansson looks as if he's picked up an injury, and that might keep him here because Martin said, you know, it'll be beyond the transfer window before he's actually going to play. Although, you know, Everton were really interested in taking him.
There's such a thing as a good injury, a tactical injury from a transfer point of view. I mean, it does. It creates a possibility that Celtic will have him again, and it'll be huge.
Physio will not be rushing him back before the 31st.
Yeah. Just
You need a couple of more days, Alistair.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a major bonus if they do indeed keep him. But it'll be interesting to see the press conference where you get to, and you get, if you're worth your if you're worth your salt in the game, you walk in the first day after the end of August and say to Martin, have you got enough quality that you asked for, and have you got enough that you think you've got the quality that can at least take the odd scalp and give the Celtic fans something to cheer in a home Champions League match, maybe an away one?
Yeah, well, I think they've done their homework up front. There's no doubt about that. I still think, well, they've got the wide guy, Yang. I'm not too sure about. Taneke is a hit and a miss. So the midfield is good. It's strong. We saw it last week. The way they play. I'm still a wee bit anxious about the defence. All right, Tierney and Johansson are okay. Trusty for me is when it goes into the European level, different players. I think he's a wee bit suspect. Interesting to see how Cameron Vicker does. That was a bad injury he had. So I think corners, free kicks are still a bit vulnerable.
Do you think they need cover at centre half?
Well, you know me, I'm not a Scales. Scales, I think, is an honest big player. He gives you 100%. He'll make tackles, he'll block and all
Not my new favourite, but
I know.
Is he a modern day Steve McManus?
not a bad shout.
I think he's a very good player.
domestically.
A very good player to be on the bench. I think you wouldn't be.
So they need
out
cover.
I think they need a quality in there, a right good centre half.
Yeah,
He's
interesting.
four. I think he's 4 experienced centre halves. I think, didn't you?
Yeah.
And Dane Murray, I think, is the 4th at the minute.
I'd like to see Dane Murray go to Dundee or Motherwell. I'd like to see him go and play regularly this season. I think he could turn into a really good player.
If you're to spend money and Celtic are serious and go and make a dent and take a scalp, as you say, and get into the Champions League and actually go and give their fans something, and you're bringing a centre half in, you need to go and really spend big.
Yeah.
Because you're not getting excellent unless you go.
Well, they need a
extra
goalkeeper
yard.
cover. They need left back. I think they need a centre half. And, you're now looking, you're saying to
Like the
yourself,
midfield now with Engels leaving.
yeah, I think they...
Tatty on his way. He's out the picture, isn't he? McCowan.
Interesting. Give us your thoughts. Let's talk about Motherwell. Ruffy, I'm sitting in the press box and I'm saying to myself, thank you, God. This is unbelievable. I mean, it would be really bad of me to say it was only HJK Helsinki, but HJK Helsinki have got a bit of pedigree in European football. They're no mugs. And they played them off the park. They were magnificent.
I only saw the highlights. The highlights that I saw were impressive. Obviously, they lost the wee boy Just, but they've got a new one, and the wee boy Said, is it?
Ibrahim Said.
He just looks apart, doesn't he? He looks just busting the confidence.
Ruffy, they still need 2 players. They haven't replaced Watt. I mean, Fadinger's trying to do that job. They haven't replaced Watt, and they haven't replaced Just. And I would like to see them do that. That's the one thing that I think the manager mentioned last night.
Lowry, no, kind of similar.
Lowry got a standing ovation from the Hibs from the Motherwell fans. He was
He's got that creativity and he tries things.
Yeah, he does try it, and funny you say that, Tam. He tried that forward breaking the lines pass, but I'm wondering if they still need maybe 1 or 2 others, maybe even a
Striker. I think they need a striker.
Yeah, I think they need
a 9. That's when he kind of drifts out into the wide areas. So
if I was Motherwell, I'd be looking. They've got the centre halves coming out. Still get Stephen O'Donnell to come back and McGinn.
They'll get back into the team at this rate.
But I still think they need maybe cover at the back. I'd like to see somebody in the middle, creative, and a striker.
Yeah, and if they get that, they'll be there or thereabouts. Obviously, I've seen them against Hibs. I watched them last night in bits and pieces. Tremendous, great to watch. Must be brilliant. And plus 8,000 Motherwell fans.
Yeah.
The first time I'd seen in them all my life, the away end. Full of Motherwell fans.
Yeah.
Tam, you talk about
couldn't
cultures,
believe it.
right? You talk about cultures going into a dressing room, a new dressing room. Wee boy Lowry's been lost. He's got great ability, really inventive, great touch up. His vision, prepared to do something that other players can't. He's going into Motherwell, and I've watched him twice live. He set up a couple of goals last night, right?
It's a perfect club for him.
An environment that suits him, right? But not just him. Every player that arrives seems to be energised and given that belief to go and do what they're good at. Is that not... that's a trick, isn't it?
Listen, the manager has managed to come in and I wouldn't say it's a replica of Jens Bertha Askau's team, because it's not. There's still little elements of the Askau blueprint that they don't execute. And I think it's playing between the lines where there's really just and Watt offered them it was such a brilliant way they were able to get out at pace and move it quickly. And of course, the other great thing they had, Ruffy, was brave midfielders who actually, you know how we like our midfielders, Parsley, pass the ball forward. Don't go sideways and crab football. You know, pass the ball forward. So that's where I think the manager admitted himself he wants to bring in 2 or 3, but they were a joy to watch.
Yeah, you would have thought the losing the wee boy Eli Just, that would have hindered him a wee bit, because he was the main person. He was the one that was making movement. He could find spaces that nobody else could find. He was bringing people in. He was assisting. He was scoring goals. You know, so I think we all thought they were going to miss him more than the boy Watt, but they haven't. You know, and I think the biggest strength that they had last year was the people that were on the bench when they came on were just identical to the people who were on they knew how to play the system. If they came on and took over for somebody on the park, they knew the position that he was playing, they knew the strength that they had to do, and that's where I think they were so successful last year.
And you know, the other blueprint that they've showed, which is an embarrassment to a lot of other clubs, is if you play entertaining football, if you entertain, if you try and play football the right way, people will pay money to come and see you. It is an entertainment. If you play the right way, the fans will buy into the season tickets. Yeah, it's absolutely. I mean, they're actually, you know, they're coming to the game and there's an expectancy. And every now and then, this is the maddest thing about it for Park. Every now and then, they all just stand up and give them a full ovation, because they can't believe what they're watching.
Do you know, when you create that harmony between club, player, fans, it's very seldom do you actually manage to achieve it, right? But to achieve it in the way Motherwell have, you're right. What a template.
Yeah.
Go and deliver something that whets the appetite of the supporters.
Can I counter it, Ruffy, by saying next week on the show, obviously, you know, because we've been too positive, we've been really happy, apart from yourself, but we've been really happy about Motherwell. And then next week, Ruffy, talk us through Freiburg's 4th goal. Was it offside?
I mean, I think, what's the point of turning up, Franks? Tam's already put them out before the game started.
Got the final last year.
Yeah.
Bundesliga team, Aston Villa beat them in the final. I mean, they're not going to get through that, but they're not going to beat Freiburg. They're not going to beat Freiburg, but what a game for the supporters. Imagine going to, I think Germany is one of the best countries now for football, to go and visit. We were obviously there in the Euros.
Yeah.
For the Motherwell fans, they've got a big allocation, big stadium in Freiburg, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 going over there to watch a team playing the way they play. It's magic. Brilliant for Motherwell.
I was talking to Keith, one of our tennis buddies, you know, and him and his sons. They were just like, Dad, can we get on the plane? That's the great thing about football, isn't it?
Yeah,
you go and
don't listen to the prophet of doom.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Oh yeah, I prefer the old Tam. You know, the bubbly one. Everything was going light. Tam? You know, it's all gone today. The hair's gone.
Freiburg, Motherwell not beating Freiburg. That's it. Sorry.
What about at home? Have they got a chance at home?
Maybe.
Could they win at home?
Maybe get a draw.
Yeah. Okay.
Listen.
There you are.
Take some hope for Wraith Rovers.
Yeah.
Going one. That was my first ever commentary.
Was it?
In the Olympic Stadium?
Oh, yeah.
Danny Lennon. Yeah, with a deflection. But who cares? It was in the back of the net.
A wee scare.
Yeah, absolutely it did. Listen, give us your thoughts, Motherwell fans, Rangers fans. Time for panic. Not happy with Derek. What about the players? Tam, Gordon have mentioned it. Time to take responsibility. Time to roll your sleeves up. Have they got any leaders? Is Shankland the captain? What's going to happen at the weekend? Does the St Mirren game take on massive significance now? Is that the point where if they don't beat St Mirren, suddenly people start calling for his head? This is the madness of this whole thing. Whereas some sensible fans, Rangers fans that I've been speaking to, said, listen, you just need to suck it up. You've got to give him time to settle down.
Yeah, I think the boos and everything are a disappointment for obviously last season, when they were all told it was going to be new this season, there was going to be better players coming in, new manager, and they've been built up to go, okay, we're not going to go through the same thing we went through last year, and all of a sudden it is the same thing as last year. So you can see the frustration, and I'm not saying the majority of the fans, but a large bit of the fans are not happy. But as we know, we've all been in the game, 1-1 changes everything.
Yeah.
And they need to go into this game with the confidence to say that they can beat us at Mountain.
Hearts, is it worth kind of talking about the Benfica thing? Is it just brush it aside now and let Wouter Vranken try and get some kind of momentum with the team that he's trying to build?
Yeah, and again, they're showing signs. The boy Reno again last night was supposedly outstanding. They're showing signs that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. I said that a couple of weeks ago. They've had a really tough run of games.
Are they beating Rapid Vienna?
I think they're capable of beating Rapid Vienna over 2 legs. Yes. I don't think they're of an ilk where you're going to think you have no chance. I think the same with Hibs against Genk. They'll be underdogs. I think Hearts will probably be underdogs, but they've got a chance. But again, Hearts, good result last night. 1-1 with Benfica, good result, and they'll look to kick on now.
Yeah, okay. Of all the games, Rangers versus Jablonec, Hearts Rapid Vienna, Motherwell Freiburg, Ghent Hibernian and Celtic Lask. Where are we going with that? Any positivity, Ruffy? What do you...
I think they're all toss of a coin.
Yeah?
You know, I don't think we can be confident that any of them are getting into the games. You know, Celtic maybe a wee bit more than the others, because I'm just thinking this Kilmarnock game and the scoreline has maybe, you know, made them a wee bit better than what we think they are. So, I mean, you take the win, there's no doubt about it. They played very well. You've got to look at the opposition. The opposition they're coming up against is going to be better than Kilmarnock, so they have to be on their game. But the same as the other ones, they're all playing quality sides who have all been in Europe on numerous occasions, so it's going to be difficult for them all.
Hibs will need to play a lot better against Ghent than they have in the previous 2 rounds against poor opposition.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, listen, we're all about opinions. I'm going to go Celtic to beat Lask at home. I'll give it Ghent to narrowly beat Hibs in Belgium. Motherwell to beat Freiburg 1-0. Hearts to draw with Rapid Vienna, and Rangers to narrowly beat Jablonec.
I think I probably disagree with most of them.
Go on then, give us your call.
I think Celtic will win.
I've just said that.
Right, I think that...
Rangers at home the first game?
Yeah.
Yes. Ghent, Hibs. Hibs need to play well. I'll go 2-0 to Ghent.
I've just said that.
You said narrowly 2-1. There's not a hope in hell Motherwell beating Freiburg.
Can I ask you something? Can I do an old Radio Clyde
Hearts will
trick
beat
on
Rapid
you?
Vienna.
Can I do an old Radio Clyde trick on you that we used to do to Derek all the time? If Motherwell beat Freiburg,
What do you want me to do?
will you resign?
Yes. What do you want me to do? Naked star jumps behind there.
Gary
Rangers
Lineker, just wear shorts.
Rangers are not beating Jablonec. No chance.
No?
No, they're a better side and they've just put them out.
And so they're on another hiding.
I think Rangers will go out of that tournament as well.
Right, and Hearts?
I think they'll beat Rapid Vienna narrowly.
Partsy, quick as you can before we get to the cup games this
I can
weekend.
be as quick as that, 100%. I'll replicate everything you said there.
Wow. Ruffy?
For the same.
Well, is this the one game or the both?
No,
legs?
one game.
One game.
Celtic Lask.
Celtic,
Ghent Hibs.
Ghent,
Motherwell Freiburg.
Motherwell.
Come on, Ruffy. Hearts Rapid Vienna.
A draw.
And
What is going on in
Rangers
here?
Jablonec.
Rangers to get a draw.
And by the way, Ruffy, can I just say something to you? Give me, and it's very difficult for the camera, but give me your condescending look. You know, like something out of Yes Minister there.
I want to see that again.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, quite simply, if come on the well, that's all I'm saying to you. Listen, over the weekend, there's some great games that we can look forward to. Give us your thoughts on the transfers as well. Your club, what you think should be happening, what you're looking for. Interestingly enough, we've got a new programme that's out there called Fan Zone. Last week we were speaking to a Motherwell fan. This week I caught up with Keith McKenzie, who's a Hibs fan, to get his thoughts on last night's game and also get his thoughts as a Hibs fan on David Gray, on the signings, on the way the team are going. And I'll tell you, he is always as high as... He was really, really optimistic about David Gray and the team. So it's well worth watching. Listen to Keith McKenzie. A happy Hibby is the only way I can sum it up. Watch it, called The Fan Zone. It's on our YouTube channel now. Thanks to Ayr, who says, Peter Martin always looks like he's trying to squeeze out a jobby. And that is the level that we are at.
I thought that was a constipated.
That's the level we're at on our... That's the level we're at on our feet. Is it any wonder, Ruffy, why sometimes I I sometimes don't read out some of the...
Yeah, they're okay, that's fine.
Yeah. The reason why I read it out is because if Stephen Presley can use the word jobby in a press conference, we can use it here. So, well done. Okay, I'll try and look a little bit more relaxed. But
Don't say what they said about Ruffy on that one.
no, I won't say that either. Anyway, thank you to so many of you for giving us your opinion on this. Philip says, Hibernian will score. I think they'll draw one and win the other. Listen, Philip, we hope you're right. We actually want to see...
I'll be going to a Hibs away game if they get to the group stages. I'll be going.
Yeah?
Oh, 100%.
That's a good show.
Whether that's working or whether that's going with my pals, I'll be going.
Yeah?
So I'm praying to get by Ghent. Come on.
Yeah, okay. We've got the Premier Sports Cup over the weekend. Really looking forward to it. Saturday, Aberdeen-Dundee. I'm taking Stephen Presley in the juggernaut that is the Dark Blues. He's going really well. What I watched last week was a joy to watch as well. They absolutely battered Aberdeen, and I think they might sneak it at Pittodrie.
Yeah, I think if they sneak it at Pittodrie, they'll be the team to keep your eye on this year. You know, I think Aberdeen will get better. They've got the home advantage. I think that's a tight one for me.
Yeah.
I'd probably go home advantage.
You going for Aberdeen?
Yep.
Barcy?
I think it's going to be a very telling game. You can see if Dundee are going to be the real deal, momentum, or are you going to see a reaction for Aberdeen? Surely.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to reveal a lot.
Is your loyalties questioned here? Because you signed for Aberdeen, did you not?
No.
No?
I knocked them back.
Right, okay.
1-0.
1-0 to Aberdeen?
Yeah.
I say it all the time. I think it's very difficult to win 2 games back to back against the same team. I think the other team that gets beat is more motivated because they've just lost. So I'll go Aberdeen.
Yeah.
Okay. Dunfermline, Ross County. I was speaking to a few people who really think it's between Dunfermline and Partick Thistle for the league, Ruffy.
I would nail 4, the playoff positions as we sit. I would go Livingston, Partick Thistle, obviously Ayr United, Dunfermline. I think Wraith Rovers would probably want to upset the new manager in there. So that would be the top 5 for me. But for me, this is the year, as I keep saying to Alec Ray.
What about Ross County? No?
Yeah. See, Brian Graham doing well. Brian Graham doing well.
Yeah.
You know, scoring well. Good for Brian.
Can they get back up?
Yeah, I think there's certainties there.
Yeah. Okay, who's winning that one then?
Pals.
Just you and your mates. Just you and your mates. I might as well say that about you because they're going to say it about me shortly.
Dunfermline.
There's a guy on there slaughtered me, Ruffy, just saying I'm protecting my pals and Derek McInnes. Derek McInnes is now my pal. So I'm going to go Dunfermline to win. Because
seen your interview last year.
Neil's my pal. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for that, Tam. I didn't actually. There was 3 or 4 games to go and I thought to myself, am I going to have a face-to-face argument with him on the fact that Motherwell battered them? But I decided against it, Ruffy.
No, Dunfermline for me.
Parsley?
Dunfermline for me.
Okay, what about Dundee United Celtic? I'm going to go up to that one in Tannadice. 5:45, Ruffy, to go up to Dundee. Looking forward to it, and I don't think Dundee United have got anything that will upset Celtic.
No, they can't go up and play Celtic the way they did against Hearts. I mean, that would be carnage. But you would like to think any time you go to Dundee United, initially they'll make it very, very difficult for you. They did for Celtic last year on a couple of occasions, but on the form Celtic are in, you've got to go Celtic.
Parsley?
Yeah, exactly. I would agree with
Yeah,
that.
you're happy with that? You're just going to agree with
Celtic.
everybody now?
No, I think...
Is that the way you're going to take your last 10 minutes?
The one caveat to that is Jim Goodwin knows how to set up to frustrate, and he did it against Rangers, but he's also got players that can hit in the break. They've got a bit of pace, so cautiously with Celtic.
Yeah, cautiously. I
He's
think.
a man in form. He picked Kamal at Celtic for a draw last week, so he wasn't far away.
Yeah. You.
Nice things
By the
about
way, if you make huge blunders, he's all over you like a rash.
Drop me a text message.
Yeah. I have to say, I think Celtic will win comfortably, Tam.
Yeah, 3-0 Celtic.
Okay.
Nostradamus there.
Sunday, Hearts Inverness, Cali Thistle.
They've got to be Hearts.
Yeah,
you know.
Jambos. Think they're going to get better? Are they going to be third, Ruffy, this season?
Yeah, I think it'll be a tough one.
You think they'll be second?
Might be second.
Oh, there's a grenade.
That's a grenade.
Yeah. You think they could be second?
Until you said that to me earlier.
I think Rangers are playing for second now already.
This early?
Yes.
Yeah. That's an interesting call you've made there. Just on that point, if Hearts finish second, are Rangers at the tail end of the season under a new manager?
More than likely.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that with you. He's
I don't recognise that.
I'm just gone for it today, I'm not caring.
Tam, come back, please.
He's absolutely blistering. So anyway, Ruffy, United Celtic, you've gone there.
Oh, when
Hearts, Hibs, Partick Thistle, Ruffy. We're going together.
Yes,
and
we
I did
are,
say
yes.
to a couple of people, I said, Ruffy's going through there. I said to the Hibs fan this morning when I was chatting to him, I says, Ruffy's going through there. He's a Hall of Famer at Thistle and he's a Hall of Famer at Hibs. I
Yeah.
just don't know where his loyalties lie.
It's a difficult one. Obviously, I was at Hibs. I was at Thistle last night, launching the book, The 150 Years of the Club, and a few questions came out. When you go back to where you've came from, you know, I mean, I was there from I was 16 till I was 30, so I think maybe
Can you slow me down? How can you
My
be a
lord.
Hall of Famer at Easter Road if you were only there? How long were you there?
6 years.
That's not
Never won a derby.
enough.
Who was getting it out? Who was getting the award? Stevie Wonder?
No, well, once you've got them, you can't say no. In fact,
Yeah.
That was it. Hibs longer than him.
But that
I'm in a Hall of Shame.
That's yours inquiry.
sums it up.
Yeah.
That sums it up. Good players get in early.
Yeah. Who are you going for?
I want to go for Thistle, but it'll be a difficult one.
So what
Who
is
are you
that?
going for?
Are you going for?
Thistle.
You're going for Thistle?
Such a coward.
You really are.
Don't even fancy. You fancy Hibs to beat them?
How can you sit next to me in the press box? It's all around. There's hippies all around us. How are you going to be able to sit next to that? I'll be telling someone.
Part of politics getting played here.
Yeah. You going for Thistle?
What's your heart saying?
My heart's saying Thistle.
What's
but
your head saying?
Thistle.
What's your head saying?
Oh, Hibs, probably.
Right, okay.
So why did you say Thistle?
Yeah.
Because I was there last
When
night.
you walk in the bookies, you say.
Franny says Partick to cause an upset. So, there
I
you
think
are.
Hibs will.
That's right.
I think Hibs will beat Partick Thistle in extra time or penalties.
Upset
I think this.
cards.
Is, I think this is a tough game for
It
Hibs.
is.
For
It
the
is
travel.
too close to call, but Hibs will just edge it.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah.
I think this could go all the way.
Okay. But Hibs winning it.
Hibs maybe nick it extra time and penalties.
Okay. We can say Hibs are going to win it now because Alec's not here. Nobody will tell him.
5-0 Hibs.
Stenhouse Muir, Motherwell.
Oh, a tricky one.
Yeah.
Motherwell.
5-0.
No. Stenhouse.
He loves Motherwell, didn't he? He just loves it.
I'm sorry, it's just come with me to a game, will you? Could you do that?
Aye.
Come with me to see Motherwell play.
I'll come to them next Thursday. I'll come and see Freiburg annihilate them.
Annihilate them? Is this beyond annihilating them? Will you come next week? I'll get
Aye.
right. We're going to Freiburg. There you are. That's the at home. Motherwell to Motherwell. See if Motherwell win, Parsley. I will be unbearable with
On
him.
the TikTok.
Yeah, will we do it? Oh, let's give it big licks on the TikTok. Brilliant. Motherwell to beat Freiburg. Come on, the well. Motherwell to beat Stenhouse Muir. Anybody disagreeing?
I'll be at the game. Difficult. Better team than you think there. Organised.
Yeah.
Good young players. Difficult pitch. 5-0.
Rangers against St Mirren. Ruffy.
Rangers. 2-0.
Comfortably? Or-
Yeah, I think
yeah?
they've got to turn the corner. I think the players
You
have
said
to.
that 3 weeks ago.
No, I think that in this game in particular, I know St Mirren have won the last couple of games, but no, if you're pulling on that red Rangers jersey at the weekend, you better win that game.
Gordon, the great thing about it is you are our Rangers correspondent this season, only due to the fact that you're already in the witness protection scheme. and people are more worried about your hair than they are about what you're
It's a
saying.
great distraction, isn't it, for the absolute alternative, which is actually addressing the problems.
Yes.
I don't see Rangers winning that game. I just don't. I just don't see who's going to step up and take responsibility. Who's going to get service into Shankland? If I'm a St Mirren player, I'm going there believing that they're going to win. And I don't expect Rangers to show much more than they did last night because I don't see the individuals and the character there. St Mirren, I see a team that I've watched twice this season. With a system, with belief, with a manager giving them a bit of licence, that's a recipe for disaster for Rangers. Because St Mirren are a better team than knocked them out of Europe last night, or the Europa League.
St Mirren to win?
I think St Mirren could win that game. I think there's hellfire.
I didn't
about
ask
the
you if they
rain down.
could win it. I know they could win it.
Well,
St Mirren to knock Rangers out?
yes.
Yes. St Mirren to knock Rangers out. I agree. I watched the second half last night, the Rangers game, and it was dire. It was one of the worst performances I'd seen for Rangers team in a long time. Yep. I don't see any sort of shoots or recovery or anything. The only one, wee Finlay Curtis, I thought, come on and done well. I just don't see it in that Rangers team at the minute, and I think St Mirren will cause an upset and put Rangers out.
Okay, I'm going to, just before we finish, read out a few things here. Just obviously, I'm going to paraphrase them because there's some sweary language on it. Not that I don't mind people swearing. Kieran says, how can anybody see Rangers winning any game?
I don't agree with that.
McInnes is out of his depth and players don't look happy with him, says Franny. St Mirren are rotten. I'd go for a draw, says Johnny. And to be perfectly honest with you, you know, lots of people, St Mirren, John says, St Mirren are the holders and they'll beat Rangers at Ibrox. So there you go. I'm going to go Rangers to win it, but narrowly, possibly.
No, I'm going to get
penalties.
Rangers 2-0, and I'm looking forward to Monday.
Yeah? What's Monday?
Well, with these two.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can't wait. Don't forget, the Predictor is really well worth getting involved in. There's lots of great prizes. We're giving away weekly prizes. We're giving away monthly prizes. You could win £10,000 or indeed a car at the end of the season if you top the league table. Even by getting involved in our Predictor, you can just win a prize. And the great news is we've got on our website, Ruffy, which everybody can take part in, whether the transfer window's closed or not, we've got a free Fantasy 11, Tam. Will you go on it and put it in?
Yep.
Pick your Fantasy 11 team and see how they perform over the season. It's absolutely free to get into the Fantasy 11. And then from there, you'll see the Predictor and you can take on Ruffy, Tam and myself and obviously see how you fare in the league. Ruffy, you climbed up the table.
Yeah, I certainly did. I jumped 2 places.
Anyway, moving on quickly.
Yeah, absolutely, because he's mentioned it. Thank you very much to each and every one of you for hitting the subscribe button. Thank you for... Johnny says, right, I'm on this Predictor now. Johnny, we want to see you on it because we'll be leathering you in that table, Johnny.
Smell the Glove says, didn't even mention the Ayrshire derby.
Well,
Ayr United to win. Come on, the honest men.
Kelly to win. The reason why I didn't mention the Ayrshire derby is because it's tonight and it dates the programme so quickly. So, Kelly to win.
Kelly to win.
Ayr to win.
I've watched Kelly 3 times this season.
You thought they were poor last week? Played some nice stuff.
Listen, again, we're taking Celtic out of the picture. They're different entity altogether. I've watched them play Hamilton Accies. Really poor.
Yeah.
Ayr started well. Aye. Yes, Tam. Ayr.
United for me.
Yeah. And I'm going to leave the last word here on Perry, who says the funniest thing is when McInnes leaves, they'll all be talking up people like Barry Ferguson, Naismith and Davy Weir for the job. I mean, at the end of the day, Derek McInnes is there. He's got a big job in his hands. There's transfers to come in. Celtic, Martin O'Neill, will he give more quality? What will Hearts do in the transfer window? What are Hibs going to do in the transfer window? And of course, what are Motherwell going to be able to sign? The couple of players that's going to make next week's TikTok with me and Tam certainly one of the funniest ever as we talk through Motherwell's 3rd goal and the possibility of them winning the Conference League. So on that note, thank you very much to each and every one of you for joining us here today. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. We'll be delighted if you can come and join us because there's lots of great content. Fan Zone's there, the Journos is there, the football show, one-to-ones, there's lots coming up with that. And we've also got the Predictor and Fantasy 11. What more do you want? Prizes galore as well. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend.